Yesterday at about 18:06 Eastern Standard Time, a Learjet 55, Mexican registration, X-ray Alpha-Uniform Charlie India, call sign Mike Tango Sierra 056, was destroyed when it crashed into a commercial and residential area shortly after takeoff from Northeast Philadelphia Airport, with 6 people on board, including 2 crew members.
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I want to talk a little bit about some of the latest current events as it relates to Bible prophecy. The Bible says in Revelation 13, 16 and 17, he also forced everyone, small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark in his right hand or on his forehead, so that no one could buy or sell unless he had the mark, which is the name of the beast or the number of his name. I want to point out the fact that everything is headed in this direction. Again, the scriptures tell us no one will be able to buy or sell unless they receive the mark. Now, you receive the mark in the right hand or in the forehead. Keep in mind, with the right hand, that's how we work. We generally work with our right hand. That's usually the dominant hand. So it has to do with working, earning money, or the economy. And then the forehead. The forehead has to do with making choice. The frontal lobe, it's the area of the brain where you make decisions. The mark of the beast is a system of total control, not only spiritual control, but mental and physical control. A lot of the current events that have been happening that we've been seeing, particularly the aircraft Blackhawk collision in Washington, D.C., everything is leading up to this no buy, no sell. And I want to emphasize that, guys, as I show it again. You'll notice here, this accident, quote unquote accident in Washington, D.C. was not really an accident. What it was an event that was a psyop that is designed to sort of program people to accept the fact that they can't travel really unless we remove human people and replace them with AI or people who are connected to AI. Somehow there's going to be this transition from human, pilots, human control operators, to people who are connected to AI or people who are connected to the cloud. And that's essentially where we're headed with the New World Order. The Bible talks about it, and this is what everyone is talking about. And notice what Trump says.
They put a big push to put diversity into the FAA's program. Then another article, the Federal Aviation Administration, this was before I got to office, recently, second term. The FAA is actively recruiting workers who suffer severe intellectual disabilities, psychiatric problems, and other mental and physical conditions under a diversity and inclusion hiring initiative spelled out on the agency's website.
Do you have any evidence that any of those hires that were there at the control Wednesday night were DEI hires?
So the president's been very clear about this. This is not saying that the person who was at the controls is a DEI hire, but let's just say, first of all, we should investigate everything, but let's just say the person at the controls didn't have enough staffing around him or her because we were turning people away because of DEI reasons. There is a very direct connection between the policies of the last administration and short-staffed air traffic controllers. That has to stop. And by the way, it's so funny to me, the media has picked up on this, not you, of course, Maria, but others have picked up on this. The president made very clear that he wasn't blaming anybody, but he was being very explicit about the fact that DEI policies have led our air traffic controllers to be short-staffed. That is a scandal. Thankfully, it's a scandal that the president has stopped.
So just based on the news reports that come out, like news stories like this one that came out on Fox News, and what the president said, the president wanting to blame it on DEI hires. Fox News stating the fact that it was a problem with staffing. The air traffic control towers are at fault. Some of the staffing members were not on duty that night, and so problem is air traffic control towers. The problem is the staffing. The problem is the human agent. So what they're getting at is we need to replace the air traffic control towers with this AI automation, and targeted individuals through remote neuromonitoring, I believe, provide sort of the training or the breeding ground that is actually going to train AI to interface with humans in the future. It's essentially transitioning from the human element to something that's totally controlled based on, AI. Now, remember, this AI not only includes a system of total control as far as it relates to the spiritual control, but physical, mental control. In other words, they're wanting to mind control, humans so that we won't have any problems with this human era like we've had in the past. And if you've been following the reports that have been coming out up until now, they've been talking a lot about transitioning the airports, transitioning, air traffic control towers to an AI version. Let me show you one video that came out some time ago.
The tower at London's Heathrow Airport is hiding a secret. While air traffic controllers at the top of the tower direct planes to take off and land using sight, radar and voice,
658, right, good, take off, wind 3009.
Hidden 200 feet down in the base of Heathrow's tower lies the next generation of air traffic control, the digital AI tower. Here, companies are testing whether high-definition cameras and AI algorithms could bring air traffic control into the 21st century. That's because while air traffic has increased fivefold over the past 4 decades, the method for managing air traffic hasn't really changed much at all. So while towers have become an iconic part of any airport, this technology could be their demise. Here's how digital towers are reshaping airports.
Now, again, all last year in 2024, reports have been coming out regarding potential air traffic collisions nationwide. And here are some reports.
These near collisions are occurring so frequently that we have people in the aviation industry warning that we might be on borrowed time here, that a collision is more likely than you want to believe it is. A longtime airline captain who'd been involved in a close call wrote, "Honestly, this stuff scares the crap out of me." And another pilot, after being involved in a close call on a runway in January, wrote, "This has really opened my eyes to how the next aviation accident may play out." So in March, the chairwoman of the National Transportation Safety Board, she said, quote, "The absence of a fatality or an accident doesn't mean the presence of safety." And she went on to say that these close calls must serve as a wake-up call for every single one of us before something more catastrophic occurs, before lives are lost.
An AI will happily monitor a wide range of things simultaneously, whereas a human has to focus on particular areas one at a time. So going from a human scan around an airport to AI being kind of omnipresent in terms of its monitoring, I think is a real bonus, because you then provide the controller with more headspace to do the decision making.
Now, while this technology may seem somewhat futuristic, aspects of it are already in use today. If you've ever landed at London City Airport in the UK, you may have assumed that this traditional control tower looking building was where the air traffic controllers sit. But they're actually in a digital tower over 70 miles away in this building near Southampton, viewing cameras from atop this tower adjacent to the airport's runway. And in Norway, this digital tower hub, run by airport group Avinor, is being used to provide remote air traffic services to 9 airports across the country, and is set to expand to 21 by the end of the decade, with controllers able to handle traffic at up to 3 airports from the same workstation.
We all heard about the 2 other events that took place, one in Philadelphia and the other one in Texas, where the plane caught fire. People were sitting on board the plane, and a tug driver drove the tug into the wing. And that's the picture that you see on the screen here. I want to show the video from that event.
Come on, I'll get along. Please remain seated until further instructions happen. Oh my God. Please get us on.
And then you had the plane that went down in northeast Philadelphia. Notice these events are happening one right after the other. PSYOP events. one right after the other. And they're going to continue to happen, not only according to Bible prophecy, but because we know that this is all leading in one direction. In other words, replacing the human with AI and, AI-controlled human agent. And then if you remember the PSYOP that took place in March of 2024, when the shipping container vessel collided with the Francis Scott Key Bridge, and the bridge collapsed. I mean, it was a major, major event. This is actually video of that event that took place. You can see that ship coming around there, and you'll notice the power goes out. So they told us that, it was a generator failure, or, it was a problem with the electronics on board. The captain couldn't recover it, and because of the power went off, he lost control of the engines. He lost control of the steering, and as a result of that, he collided with the bridge. Now, how do these events happen? This just seems it just seems like these things should not happen in 2025. Well, that's because they're planned events. That's because they're PSYOPs. If you remember, after this event took place, it was about 42,000 dock workers went on strike nationwide. And they were striking because they were talking about replacing dock workers with automation. They've got new automated equipment now to handle all the shipping. So longshoremen in every state, at every shipping dock, went on strike. You'll notice here this ship, it's going to collide here with the bridge. You see the bridge collapse. And, how does that happen? Is that coincidental? Is that incidental? No, it's a planned event. It's a PSYOP. It's to further an agenda. And so the funny thing about it is shortly after that, Channel 9 reported how docks are now making a transition to sort of an AI automation.
Oh, these are the automated ones.
Our Stu Mundell over the Port of Los Angeles, seeing something unfold many folks probably didn't know about. The port is going automated. Artificial intelligence and digital technology are moving and powering commerce here.
These are drones.
Containers are lowered onto trailers, and within seconds those trucks drive off. They know where to turn, where to drive, and where to drop off their cargo. They even yield to each other when one crosses in front of the other, and there are no humans in sight.
Four-wheel steering, these are cool.
The old supply chain, so to speak, is no longer in place.
Professor Nick Vyas is the executive director with the Center for Global Supply Chain Management at USC. As futuristic as this may look, Professor Vyas says we're way behind other countries.
That's just a small subset of what the automation being adopted in the rest of the world.
Professor Vyas is referring to ports like this one, Rotterdam in the Netherlands, Europe's busiest port, and it's also one of the world's most technologically advanced. Rotterdam officials say they've created a platform that will allow autonomous shipping using sensors placed on quay walls, waterways, and even dolphins. As exciting as the technology is, the evolution of it also has the potential of being very painful.
But the bigger picture, which people don't understand, is the cost and effect.
Mark Mendoza is the president of ILWU Local 13. He represents more than 8,000 longshoremen who work at the LA and Long Beach ports. Mendoza says automation could mean the end of hundreds or even thousands of jobs.
We go to a fully automated, it goes down, you say the membership of 8,000, all these temporary casuals, we can go down to 800. These aren't $10 an hour jobs. These are jobs where it only takes one income to take care of your whole family.
Mendoza says he wants to work with the companies using automation at the port to make sure his workers get the tech jobs associated with running, maintaining, and fixing the automated systems. And Mendoza knows the automation is part of the present and the future.
What will happen to the jobs of today and what those jobs will look like in the future? And the answer is, really, we need to embrace this change that's coming.
See, so you can see that there's an agenda behind each one of these planned events. I mean, these are PSYOPs. These are events that are a part of an agenda to make a transition. You know, as I mentioned earlier, as a result of this ship that collided with the Francis Scott Key Bridge, 42,000 dock workers go on strike because automation is now coming in and taking their job. The union says enough is enough. We can't have this. You know, our dock workers are being laid off, or longshoremen are losing their job. And so obviously there's pushback. But here's the thing, guys. The Bible tells us very clearly that there's coming a time where if you don't receive a mark of the beast, now this mark goes in the forehead or in the hand. Again, the hand has to do with working, has to do with the economy, has to do with the transition of currency. If you study it throughout the Bible, and we're going to look at it in the Bible, you will see that the right hand in a special way has to do with the dominant hand for the purpose of working or economies or things of that nature. Also has to do with the forehead, making decisions, the frontal lobe. It has to do with your choice. Again, the Bible is depicting a time period of total control, not only mind control, but total control spiritually. And that day is right upon us right now. So all these events that we're looking at are leading up to that fulfillment of Bible prophecy. Now, again, Bible prophecy is very clear. A famine is coming. It's coming not only to America, but it's coming to the world. If you remember the story in the Bible of Joseph and the famine in Egypt, well, that famine came as a result of Joseph basically interpreting two dreams that Pharaoh had. Pharaoh had these two dreams not just on one occasion, but he had it on several occasions. And he commissioned Joseph to come and to interpret the dream. The dream consists of 7 years of plenty and 7 years of famine. And the Bible says this. In the book of Genesis, it says, "And every nation came to Joseph in Egypt to buy grain, because the famine was severe over all the earth." Now, keep in mind, this was a famine that was all over the world. And that famine is coming again. Book of Revelation prophesies about that. So what we're seeing happen in the ILA strikes, it's coming again in 2025. You remember the strikes in 2024? Well, that's coming up again through a series of psyops and a series of planned events, just like in 2024. It's going to come up again in 2025, and you're going to see the same ILA union go on strike again. Remember, 42,000 employees went on strike, and it drastically affected the supply chain, the food supply chain. Now, these are all prophecies that are prophesied in the book of Matthew, prophesied in the book of Revelation. And these prophecies are going to come to pass, and I believe they're going to come to pass very soon in this year. All of this is leading to a period of no buy, no sell, as it mentions in Revelation 13. We're going to talk about that more in depth in the future, because I believe that we are here. All of this has to come to pass, because Jesus said it would come to pass before he comes again the second time. Again, I want to show you that prophecy in the book of Revelation. Everything is leading to this prophecy being fulfilled. He also forced everyone, small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark on his right hand or on his forehead, so that no one could buy or sell unless he had the mark, which is the name of the beast or the number of his name. Subscribe to this channel for more details on prophecy, and share this video with someone you know. Until next time, take care.